Okay, in this video I'm going to give a quick review of all of the present active, imperfect active, future active, and passives. Perfect active, pluperfect passive, future perfect passive, or active. And then over here, introduce for the first time these forms which we have yet to see. Now when I set up my indicative chart, remember indicative is a mood of a verb that is going to give a statement of fact. I've made the present, imperfect, and future with green because they are indicating action that is not completed, and they also have in common the present stem. All three of these tenses use the present stem found in the second principal part. Second principal part is the infinitive. The infinitive gives the conjugation and the present stem. Then I have down here perfect, pluperfect, and future perfect in brown because they indicate action that is completed, and in the active forms they use the perfect stem, which is the third principal part, everything except for the long I. Everything except for the long I, because the long I is actually an ending, a perfect ending. So, here for the two verbs, amo, amare, amami, amatus, which is a first conjugation. Remember, you look at the second principal part. Are first, ere second, ere third, ere can also be third I-O, and then ire is fourth. I say fourth I-O, but that's redundant because they are all I-O. Now, for the verb amo, amare, I'm going to give only the third singular. It could be 6 forms of amo here, and 6 forms of ago here. I, you, he, we, y'all, they, and ost, must, is, inti, but instead I only want the third singular, and for ago I'm going to go with the second singular, third plural, and first singular forms. So, let's go ahead and start with amo. I want the third singular. I start out with my present stem for a present verb. Then what I'm going to add is my present vowels, and there you can see them all listed out. Long A is going to be the vowel there, so there it is. And then all I have to do now is add my third singular ending, which we all know is OST. T has an asterisk by it, however, which tells you that it eats macron. So even though it looks like it's short, it's really a long A, as we would expect it to be. Moving on to ago, agere, egi, actus. Ag. I go to see what is my vowel for third conjugation. It is a short I. And then OST, must, tis, inti. Finally, for the third plural and first singular, third plural, ag, I or you. Remember the equation says I plus nt, it will turn into a u, and so it is then going to be agunt. And then for the first singular is merely the first principal part, ago. The first principal part is the first person singular, present, active, indicative. These are all statements of fact. Now, I go over to the passive. The only difference between the active and the passive in these green tenses is that in the active they use the endings O or M, ST, must, is, NT, and in the passive they use aristur, more, many, intur. So, over here, I did the same thing. For the passive, present stem, present vowel, and then tur instead of T. No big deals there. Same thing here, present stem, my vowel is still an I, but now we have to remember that there is an equation. Long or short I plus a ris is going to create what looks like a short e ris, but in fact, that short e is not a short e. It is actually an I in disguise. So it would look like agaris. Likewise, I then go to the third plural, ag, and of course, I intur, but we all know the intur is going to create the I to a u, aguntur, and then for the first person singular, all I got to do is give that first principal part again, and just shove on it to it an R. Agor. Ago, I drive. Agor, I am driven. Moving on to the imperfect. And again, I'm going kind of quickly because we should know these already. Imperfect is going to have the present stem. They all use the present stem. And it will have ABA, long EBA, long EBA, IEBA, IEBA, stuff like that. And so over here we'll start out with First conjugation is going to be A, B-A, so that would be ba. So there are actually 3 parts here too so far, in that you have a present stem, imperfect vowel, and then the ba, and then all I got to do is add my T as the ending, and thus it becomes amabat. No big deal there. Now moving on to ago, we do the same thing. Present stem, ag. Here we're going to have the imperfect vowel long E before the BA, so age, ba, and then it'll be an S, agebas. Same thing here for the third plural, ag, long EBA, but now we have an NT, which ate that macron, and then here it would be og, long EBA, and then an M. Sorry, I kind of run out of a little bit of room. I'm going to go ahead and cap mark it. Let's go over to the passive. Again, it's just merely of having a tour instead of a T, so present stem, present vowel, or imperfect vowel, I should say. Ba, tour. Over here, it is going to be og, a ba, ris. Over here, it's going to be og, a bon, tour. And over here, it's going to be og, a ba, ra. Instead of an M, it'll have the passive R. Moving on to the future, it will look like the following. I'm going to give myself a bit more space, I think. Use a present stem, What we're now going to do is realize that the future is divided into two worlds. If it is the world of the first and second conjugation, there's going to be a BI. If it is third I on fourth, it'll have a long E. Long E's are dangerous because a long E can appear as the vowel of a future of a third conjugation, or a long E can appear as the vowel of a present of a second conjugation. So you've always got to pay attention to your long E's. So here, however, it's going to be a first conjugation, a, bi, and then T, a bit. For this ago, agore, that's a third. So here, og, third conjugation, future long E, and then an S, ages. Same thing, og, because it's third conjugation, long E for the future, nt, agit, that's a long E, nt ate the macron, and then finally, og, long E plus M. But the equation, long E plus M, is going to result in a long E that looks like something else. It looks like an A. It is not. Now we move on to the passive. Do the same thing, but now instead of T, we'll have tour. Present stem, because it's first conjugation, a, bi, and then tour. Over here, present stem, third conjugation, future will be a long E, and then ris. Note the difference here. That is not an E. That is a short I. That is a long E. Present, you are driven right now. You are being driven. Future, you will be driven. Over here, present, long E, tour, nt ate the macron. Present, long E, R, but we know the equation. Long E plus R equals AR. And so it looks like agar. Now, down here for the perfect, the pluperfect, and the future perfect, we should like these active forms better than those forms of those forms. Because these forms have a lot of moving parts. Moving parts of present stem, present vowel, present ending. Present stem, present vowel, present ending. Present stem, vowel, ending. Present stem, that was the O ate the present vowel, but there's the ending. Same thing over here, which is present stem, vowel, ending. Likewise, here is actually present stem, imperfect vowel, ba, ending. Present stem, imperfect vowel, ba, ending. Present stem, imperfect vowel, ba, ending. And over here you have present stem, future symbol, ending. Present stem, future symbol, ending. Present stem, future indicating ending, and so forth and so on. Down here, it's only a stem and an ending. Now you've got to know your endings. There's the different ones for the perfect, different ones for the pluperfect, different ones for the future perfect. But this is what it's going to look like. First and foremost, we go to the perfect stem, which is the third principal part. Amaw. And then all I have to do is know my perfect endings. E, isti, it, imis, istis, erunt. Third singular, it. For perfect, egg, perfect stem, e, isti, second singular, egg, e, isti, it, imis, istis, erunt. Or, remember, there can be the alternate, egg, ere. It's not an infinitive. Why do I know it's not? Perfect stem. And then for the first person, egg, e, isti, it. As simple as that. Pluperfect, it's the exact same formula, except now we're going to use pluperfect endings. Eram, eras, erat. Egg, eram, eras. Egg, eram, eras, erat, eramus, eratus, erant. And perfect stem, egg, eram, and thus pluperfect. Now for the future perfect, it's the exact same process except we're going to use future perfect ending. Still, perfect stem, perfect stem, perfect stem, but ero, eris, erit, erimis, eritis, erint with an int. Egg, ero, eris, erit, erimis, eritis, erint with an int. Egg, ero, eris, erit, erimis, eritis, erint. When it's the ending, int. And then over here, egg, ero, eris, erit, erimis, eritis, erint. But here it will be ero. Now, what we are going to do is learn for the first time the perfect passive, pluperfect passive, and the future perfect passive.